Hey, good morning everyone. Sumit on this side. I'm a software engineer for about 15 years. I've recently moved to Vibe Coding and I thought that I'd share this journey with everybody through a video series. I recently hosted a session for a few students, like about 30 students, on behalf of a training company, like one of these skills training companies. And I really enjoyed that process. I really enjoyed talking about Vibe Coding and how I feel it is empowering us, like particularly us as founders. And I've been I've been a trying founder for a very long time. I've been in startups, more than 12 of them, more than 14 I would say. And over the last 15 years I've tried creating my own products. I've failed at almost all of them, actually all of them. And it, even though it is such a lovely journey, I think it's also a journey that keeps on improving because of the tooling around. One of those things I think I recently felt like is absolutely critical is vibe coding, is because as a founder and engineer I spent a lot of time, because of course I love coding. I just spend a lot of time coding. And as you probably already know that it keeps like engineers in kind of a silo. We kind of like doing that, and we stay building products are a lot about features, and we keep building those features, but we do not share as much time to like go out, talk to users, share time on social networks like Reddit, for example. Reddit is a treasure trove when it comes to like finding information about the problems people are facing around any domain, any topic. So yeah, I've not been having as much time about these things. And recently, for the last year I would say, I started migrating to AI assisted coding. So AI assisted coding and vibe coding are slightly different things, but yeah, they aim towards, they use large language models. But AI assisted coding is when you'd still be coding, like you have an editor, you're still sitting, your programming languages well, your entire stack, the technology stack well, and you're still building software by hand writing it, but you are being assisted by AI. So large language models are feeding in a lot of snippets of code, I would say, right? And this has also been very helpful. But then I shifted more to vibe coding. I've been trying it a few times. It worked, sometimes it did not, but then I kind of got the hang of it. And for the last 6 weeks I've been exclusively using vibe coding, and I think this is a big change, particularly in the life of a founder, because I want to really build products. And I'm a solo founder at this moment. Like, I have a collaborator, but mostly I'm a solo founder, full time working on my ideas. I am not getting enough time to share my journey with people, right? So when I switch to vibe coding, this is what is the biggest takeaway for me. Like, I'm getting so much more time. My lifestyle around coding has also changed a lot. So I don't sit on the computer, on the desk as much as I used to. I can have a lot of time just going around, having my coffee, or just do house chores, spending time with my partner, with my family, etc. So I can give a set of instructions, I can break it down, and we'll go through all of those with large language models. And there is a set of like practices that like people are trying out. There are lots of best practices out there, but yeah, there's a little bit of setup needed for you to actually get productive. And what this video series that I'm trying to create, it's all about actually being productive, like creating productive production software, right? So it's not about like, oh, I just created something. Like, I create a lot of throwaway projects. I'm not talking about those in this video series. In this video series, we'll pick up a particular topic and we'll be able to launch it. So I want to launch one of my ideas directly in this video series, and we will see that we'll step away from the day-to-day coding, and that gives us a lot of time to, for example, for me to build this video series itself, to create the series itself, right? Or to create the content. I am posting a lot more on Reddit. I'm interacting a lot more on Product Hunt. These are things that I've always wanted to do, but I've not been able to do for the last couple of years as I've been trying products. But now with vibe coding, I'm getting much more time to be able to talk about my journey as a founder. And I think that is very critical, because through that process of being able to reach out to users, I'm also getting doing a lot of market research. I'm able to engage with users. I'm able to understand, like, at some point when I get to the product, to the point of being able to sell it, I should have an audience, right? So if I don't have that time now, where will that audience come from? So I guess, these are known things. None of these things that I'm talking about are unknowns. They are all known. But I guess that for the first time, I feel like there is a way, a mechanism for me to take a step away from day-to-day coding, like intensive coding the whole day, and instead spend time both like with people I love, care about, and also people I like people out there in the world who will probably or eventually hope will become my customers, right? So I'm hoping that my support time for those users will also improve a lot. So yeah, with that context in mind, this is the main takeaway that I feel like I have to share, that I want you to take away from this. How I am structuring this video series is that it's a little more hands-on. It's a little more like it's a lot more unplanned. This is the first set of videos that I'm launching. I'm going to probably create multiple series on this topic, and those maybe have more structure or whatever depending on what you say. So it's just an experiment. Please bear with me. Let's just go along and see what happens out of this. But yeah, in the end, I'm going to create one product. The product is very simple. I wanted to always have a product where I don't know if but there's a ton of open data out there. So for example, Hacker News, one of these most popular platforms that a lot of us use for getting daily news around startups, products, technology, or just anything around these topics, even just general science, and also a lot of cultural, social information. This is like a voting based system. It's run by Y Combinator, and it's a really nice place because more than the content, I also like reading through the comments. And it's just a place that I open up early in the morning. I spend some time. I may also share some comments myself, etc. And I really enjoy that process. It's my like kind of the place where I learn new things. So what happens is that the API to this is actually available. So if you search for API, HN API, or just Hacker News API, you'll see that there is a Hacker News API on GitHub. And this is not the first site. There are tons of places, tons of websites, tons of, you could say, databases as such, right, which have shared their actual data as what we would call data dumps. Like the data is available either as a full file, or in the case of Hacker News through an APIs, because of course the content in Hacker News is constantly changing, so there's no point, I guess, giving a dump, because in the next 2 minutes the dump is already obsolete and you'll have to download a new dump. So it's an API where what they allow you is to extract each of these items, these posts that you see, each of these posts, these items, and the contents and the comments. You can download them. And that would be interesting for me because sometimes I'm like, hey, you know what are some interesting trends I can figure out from startup related data that is available out there. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. There's so much publicly available data. So if you search for public data dumps, or if you search for just public data, etc., you'll see there are tons of places where there are free, like, public data being available, right? You can also get I mean, the keywords, I'm just recording this on this video live, so the keywords may not be the best. So you can get a lot of free data from governments. You can get weather data, for example. You just have to search and you'll get a lot of them, and most of the data is actually cleanly available from many different services. There's historical data available, and of course, there are collections of these probably stored on Amazon's cloud or Google Cloud. Some of these companies do make them available freely. For example, Wikipedia's whole database is available. So my product idea, this is something that I've been thinking of, is that there's so much data which you don't have to scrape. They're available to use. You can download them, and they come basically in some kind of, like, you can store them in an SQL database easily and then do some queries on top. So I wanted to have this desktop application where I could pick a data set, have the data, either all of it or some subset of it, downloaded on my computer, and just be able to run queries on it. So it would probably be running on top of SQLite, because that's really the easiest way to get this product started. And this is a tool for curious people, right? So if you want to, like, okay, what is the historical weather data that I can get? Okay, click, you see all the data available, just download, and now you have that data in your own local database. You can see it as your normal, tabular data, and then you can do some queries. You can either run SQL queries or whatever you want to do. That's up to you, right? So my idea was just create that desktop product and launch it. So we'll go through that journey of building something. So we'll describe how to build this product. Of course, this product has a little bit of technical nuances, because there's this part of discovering such data which I have not yet figured out how I'll do, and that's where vibe coding really comes in. So I've always felt like like I have to do all of this in my head, and I have been used to it because of course professionally, if you're a software engineer, you're doing this all of this in your head or with your team. But now you can do some of this questioning, like, hey, I want to create such a product. I'll show you. I created this chat actually. I'll show you the history of this chat. Let's see. I believe this is the chat. Oh, this is the chat, sorry, pub data hub. So I was calling it pub data hub, and I asked Claude, like, hey, I want to create this product, pub data hub. This would be a downloader, API, and CLI. I wanted to create it all in Rust. That's just for my personal preferences, and a simple web viewer. So that would be SolidJS, Tailwind, CSS. Instead of, think of Solid as just like React, very similar. And then I wanted this the web viewer to be just running on your browser. You could access the CLI. The main access would be the CLI or the web view, but both of them will work. And then I want to be able to download the data, right? So in the case of Hacker News, it will download from the API. If you're downloading from data dump, it'll download those, and then it'll simply give you the viewer to like go ahead and do something to that data, right? Whatever queries you want to run. So Claude came up with, so I asked basically, please can you write down the user facing readme for this, right? Which features with features and basic getting started. So I just wanted it to give me the user facing stuff, but you can also similarly ask for the tickets, the tasks that it feeds, or the broad technical description, or the project description that you'll give to now a coding agent for vibe coding to start. So we'll go through some of these exercises in this video series, focusing on this particular product that I want to create. But the whole point of this video series is for us, all of us, everybody. It does not matter what technical background you have, but if you are willing to learn a few things, the whole point of this video series is with just that intent, that agency, that you want to learn a few things by yourself. Those points will be laid out. You can go ahead and create your software. That's the whole point. And we will launch this, we'll go live, we'll create all the downloadables needed, etc. The whole process. Of course, this particular product will not have downloadables for, say, the Mac App Store, or it will not have it for the App Store, as in the mobile App Store, or the smart, like the Android App Store, or the Play Store rather. But it will definitely be available as installers for your Mac OS, Windows, Linux, etc. Right? And yeah, that whole process of going through it and figuring out, okay, how to do the tests, how do I check it, how do I run it locally, what are the tools needed, how do I communicate with large language models, what are the different large language models available, what are the tools to communicate available. Like in the case of in my case, I use Claude Code, but you can use both Claude Code, you can use Gemini CLI. There are multiple tools available. There is Open Code, and there is OpenAI Codex. I think these are the top three that I use. OpenAI Codex I've not really used so much, but yeah, there are tons of tools out there. There's also Google Juice, there is Bolt. For web-facing stuff, there is V0 from Vercel. There is just a lot of tools out there. And the one thing that I like doing is be very pessimistic, be very conservative when it comes to spending money on the tools. So because the tools are changing so much, that I prefer not to take annual subscription to any of these tools. A thing that I did just a few months back, I thought that back then I was using this particular IDE, the editor for code called Rust Rover, because primarily I work with Rust in the backend. And then with that, I really liked this integration of AI it had, and I took a subscription for Rust Rover. And it has only been 4 months, I believe. And then within that time, the last 6 weeks, I'm not even coding anymore. I'm not even using Rust Rover. I have uninstalled it. So that annual subscription I paid for Rust Rover is basically useless. And that's because the tooling is changing so often, so fast, right? Every week we see new tools coming out. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes, but yeah, we'll stick to the ones that are working really well. And I'd say I'll probably cover like 3-4 maybe such tools. But at the end, along with these AI tools, there are a certain set of tools which you will need, which are mostly just software engineering tools. So like, how do you run a JavaScript project? How do you run a Python project? How do you run, in my case, for example, a Rust project? How do you run just, how do you connect to a server? What is even a server? Why do we have to host it somewhere, right? Where does the source code go that we get out of a large language model, out of these code generators? Where can I store this source code, and why does this source code now have to go somewhere to execute? What will my customer get? What will my user get? We'll answer all of those questions, because those right now that you can create code out of vibe coding, you still need to know how software works, how software moves, where does it live, where does it execute. Unless you know, it will be very hard to actually get some code. You can produce some code, like you can say, hey, create me a project which will be a calculator. You can do that, right? But then if you want to share it with your friends, family, or go out there actually like getting it live, you'll get stuck with the whole tooling in software engineering. And that's what we are going to talk about a lot in this video series. Hands-on working through a project, like I said, the project that I described, to be able to go live with something. So yeah, that's the intent, that's the purpose. We are going to be conservative with pricing. Like I said, we are going to try out different tools. My opinion, my suggestion is, don't take annual subscription for anything unless you really like it. Practice, learn. Then once you have figured out that this flow is working out well, most of these tools have either a free trial or a free tier. Make sure that you're using the best of those. Then only do you switch to a paid account. And if you're switching to a paid account, if you're taking a subscription, try to take only the monthly subscription, because these tools are changing so rapidly. It's probably the best that you don't commit so much so early, right? Not an annual subscription. Yeah, so that is probably the context of this video series. I don't have a big structure for this video series. This is just the introduction video. I just want to make sure that this is out there, that I'm creating this. I would love you to be part of this journey. I'd love all your comments. You can reach out to me on Reddit. I'm there on Product Hunt, Reddit. You'll see one of my posts every once in a while. On Reddit, I am on the Vibe Coding r/Vibe Coding subreddit. You'll find me there. I post every once in a while, but yeah, I do comment on other people's posts, etc. You'll find me on Product Hunt. I'm also quite active there now on the forum for vibe coding again. So yeah, these are a few places, but you can also reach out to me on GitHub. My personal profile is Brainless. So yeah, that's where you will find me on GitHub. My work is mostly under my company's name, Pixlie, Pixlie. So all the work that I'm creating, most of this vibe coded projects, most of them are all going under Pixlie. So yeah, either find me on one of these platforms, and then you can reach out to me. So that's mostly it. You can, feel free to reach out to me. Also comment on YouTube or wherever else I'm going to publish these videos. And then we can also have huddles, chats, Google Meets, Zoom calls, whatever. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to be part of your journey, because this, I feel, is really, really empowering founders. If you wish to create software, you do not have to spend so much time coding directly. And this is, for me at least personally, this is a big game changer. This is why I'm able to create the content that I'm creating now today, and all the posts that I've been doing for the last few weeks, because I've gotten so much time away from the day-to-day coding. With this, this is the end of the first video. I'll create the second video, but yeah, please let me know what your thoughts are and why are you interested in learning vibe coding.